Okay, so today we'll discuss about in Dynatrace anomaly detection and custom errors. Okay,
Okay.
so what is anomaly detection? Anomaly,
Like setting thresholds.
yeah. And
Mhm.
when we require to configure, when it is required to configure custom alert. First, you try to understand as a layman. Okay, whenever you see on any tools, okay, anomaly detection. Okay, anomaly detection means auto baselining. Okay,
Mhm.
auto baselining.
Okay.
For every tools for auto baselining, they need some data, right, to set a threshold.
Yes.
Okay, so for
Mm.
Dynatrace required 7 days of data. Okay, to set a proper threshold value. Okay, so when you configure today,
Mhm.
right, it will take last 1 week of data. So today you set up your Dynatrace, so it will go next week, it will set up their own anomaly detection. Okay, so that is
Okay.
your auto baselining. So data need 7 days of data for baselining. Okay, which is
Okay.
fine. Now you need to understand in anomaly detection. Okay, anomaly detection, what are the threshold, what are the KPI we have, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And for custom alert, what are the KPI we have to configure? What KPI we have to configure, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So when you go for anomaly detection, and if you see the KPIs, it will be basic KPIs.
Mm-hmm.
Basic KPIs. If you think about infra means server, right? Infra in just like a server. So infrastructure KPI, if you take what is needed, CPU, memory,
Memory,
disk,
disk.
network, connectivity,
Mhm.
right? These are
Yeah.
basic KPIs.
Right.
If you take about application,
Mm.
either a web app or mobile app, okay, any, what are the basic KPI? Their response time. Application has a response time,
Availability.
failure rate, their availability, okay, and so on. And some traffic spike. In traffic
Mm.
goes high very, right? So you think somebody
Yeah.
hack my website, yeah, how is it? Okay. So traffic
Mm.
spike and traffic drop also.
Right.
Traffic drop. These are basic KPIs. Okay. Same goes for service also. If
Mm.
you take application service, right, we have a login service, authentication service, booking service, payment service, right? So service
Mm.
also has the same KPIs, correct?
Right.
Response time, failure rate, connectivity, availability, all those things. If you select database also, almost same KPI, database availability, database response time, failure rate. So these are the basic KPI. On top of that, some KPIs. So these are the basic KPIs. But suppose you think about, now we have a basic KPI for CPU, memory, disk, network. So CPU memory for server. Are you getting my point?
Mm.
Each server, right? Now
Yeah.
memory for each server, disk for each for server. Now I need each process. You have, right? We have a login process. Okay, each process consuming how much CPU? Suppose this
Mm.
one of the application process consuming 60% of CPU. So you need to configure that as a custom alert, just a requirement. Okay. Suppose I want
Mm.
to configure a blocking session in database. Okay. I want to configure some 4x error on the application level. If it is not available, a specific application, how many 4x error was happened in last 24 hours, right? Then I need an alert. If it is greater than 20, then I need alert, right? So those kind of scenario, when you will get it, you have to configure custom alert. Are you getting my point?
Yes. Mm.
Okay. Custom alert. The naming convention, it would be different in Dynatrace, how you can configure a custom alert. Okay, the metric event or something. We'll check. Okay. Now, coming to the anomaly detection. So we have a two types of stage. One is global setting in anomaly detection. Anomaly detection, we have two types. Okay, one is global. You can configure, you can change your threshold. You can have global. One is globally, and second is local. Okay, suppose you go to global setting. You go, right? Setting, classic setting tab.
Mm, mm,
Okay, and if you have enabled for infra, yeah, web application, yeah, service like infra, web application, yeah, service, anything. Yeah, suppose you change some in anomaly detection also, we have, I don't want to go with the baseline model. Okay. I wanted to have anomaly detection, okay, the KPIs, but I want to go my own threshold value. You know that own threshold
mm.
value.
Yeah,
Suppose your baseline set 95%. Okay. When CPU
yeah.
goes 95, I need alert. But as an application team, no, I need alert when crossing 90%.
Mm.
What you have to do? You have to set up your own threshold value.
Yes.
So when you are going to set up your own threshold value, so there is a two way of setting up.
Mm,
One is
mm.
globally, second is locally. Now you will get confused. What does it mean globally and what does it mean of locally? Correct?
Yeah.
Are you getting confusion here? So,
No, so and my understanding what I learned is
hmm,
so this global settings will be applied to all the hosts or so all the entities,
hmm.
but if it comes to locally, we can customize over there for that particular host settings. Like we can change
Yeah,
if suppose the
you are
baseline
right.
is
You are
hmm,
absolutely right. Okay. So
okay,
one is
okay.
globally and one is locally. Suppose you want
Hmm,
to change your threshold value. Okay. So I set one globally, global threshold value 90%. Okay. So
hmm.
it would be applicable for across all the management.
Yes.
Okay. All the management because you have done the change in the global setting. When you do the local, okay. So now I have a requirement. Okay.
Hmm,
Globally, suppose you think we have a 1000 server. Okay. On 1000 server, we have a 5 applications. So set it up a global threshold value for infra so that 90% for CPU,
mm-hmm,
90% of memory, and 90% is just this is a market standard. Okay. 100%
mm-hmm.
is market standard. Okay. Now, I got a requirement for 20 servers for one application, which is BPI. I want to setting up the threshold value for 95 instead of 90 for all the KPIs. Yeah, one KPI, especially only one KPI, CPU itself. Okay, then what you have to do? So there is a way. Either you go to each host. Now you cannot touch, right? Because this 90% threshold value supporting 1000 out of 1020. So right now, how many? 980 servers is supporting this threshold value.
Right. Yeah.
So 980 server supporting this value. So I cannot do the changes in the global setting.
Yeah, we cannot touch that.
So
Hmm.
I have to go for a local setting.
Yes.
So local setting, if you do, so how many times you have to host page you have to open? 20 times.
20 times. Mm-hmm.
20 host page you have to open.
Yes.
Each host page you have to open and then change the threshold value.
Yes.
Now, suppose you have set it up, you have configured, okay, host group. There is a concept is called host group.
Mm.
And all server belongs to BPI. What can I do? Instead of 20 server, each server I need to go host setting. I can go to that host, then I can find filter by host group. Okay, I will filter by this in the host page, host group, and I will go to host group setting. If I'll go to my host group setting, what will happen is, in spite of going each host page 20 times, so minimum how much time is required? 30 minutes.
Yeah. Mm.
So in spite of that, I can go to their host group setting. If I change the threshold value to 95% for CPU, 95% for memory, 95% of disk, okay, what will happen is it will impact all the 20 hosts because all belongs to one host. Are you getting my point?
Mm.
You
Yeah.
understood benefit of
Yeah.
group here? So
Right. Right.
whenever you have a requirement, okay, for one application, I need to change a threshold value, okay? Then no need to go to your global setting, go to your local setting and then see whether we have a host group basically, okay, which is for filtering your data, creating a rule. This is the small piece of work here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Only changing the threshold value and configuring some rules are getting which can applicable for all the hosts inside that host group. That is very useful. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like now
Got.
you understood, right? In spite of that going 20 times for each host page, it will take 30 minutes. I can complete in 1 minute. Correct. So
Yes.
it will, I have saved 29, 25 to 30, 29 minutes of time effort. Okay. And it will be easy for you, right? Otherwise, you'll think, hey, you can assign to juniors and say you do the change, which is fine, absolutely fine. You can do that for each host setting. But if you have same application belongs to same host and host group is already configured, then you go to, instead of going each host page, you can go to your host group setting
Host group.
and
Okay.
do the change. Now, coming to that, either a globally and locally, when you are setting up configured custom alert, right?
Okay.
Custom
Mm.
event, yeah, custom alert, whatever you call, okay? Everything has to be configured from the globally only. There is no option, we don't have option to configure locally, okay? Only anomaly detection that which have Dynatrace has given that you have changed the threshold from global setting and local setting. But because when you are configuring your custom alert, what does it mean is you are configuring for a specific requirement, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So which would be applicable from global setting, okay? Like suppose you want to configure a specific service response time when it is goes more than 10 seconds, I need alert. Example. Same goes to
Mm-hmm.
application. Then you have some 4x error, 5x error, right? Application
Mm-hmm.
connectivity, database connectivity. So what you are thinking, when application is down last more than 2 hours in 24 hours, then I need alert. And then application has, so in that 5x error, right? 500,
Yeah.
not available.
Mm.
So when you receive 5x error in last 24 hours duration of more than 20 requests, like it is like 5x error, then I need alert. Same goes to 4x error. I need 24 in last 24 hours. If 4x error count is greater than 10, then I need alert. Those kind of scenario, you'll get a requirement and you need to configure it based on your application, based on your database, based on your KPIs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of anomaly detection, just you have to change the threshold value. That's it. If you want to go to custom alert. If you want to go to the anomaly detection, then no need to do any changes either the global setting or local setting. Are you
Yeah.
getting the point? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's configure so you can have a more understanding. Okay.
Mm.
So if you go to your, if you see here, if I go to my setting tab,
So, Ravi, even managed UI is also same, is same or is it any difference we'll have?
100% same. until unless your managed cluster, you are not using very older. Are you getting? See, when you are using managed, you need to upgrade their cluster, correct?
Mm.
Suppose you bought one phone, okay, and you bought a
Mm.
phone in 2014, 2015, okay. That
Yeah.
time iOS version was 8, 9, 10, something,
Mm.
right? You 2000,
Yeah.
2015, yeah, 15, you bought
Yeah. Older one. Mm.
old iOS version, right? Then,
Right.
so just to think, it is their application version, okay. Same way, suppose you took a Dynatrace managed on 2015, and that time
Mm.
Dynatrace managed version is 1.0. Okay,
Mm.
you have not upgraded your environment because you are
Mm-hmm.
using manage means everything you have to do. Dynatrace will not come and hey, I will update your managed environment. No, because you have to do it. You need to take a backup. Lot of processes are there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you said no, no, we'll do that until unless it is not unsupported, right?
Mm.
So now you see, you have seen that, right? For who is using iOS Apple phone like iPhone 6, iPhone 7, something. Okay,
Uh-huh.
phone
Mm.
pay is not working, GPay is not supported. Correct. Until
Mm-hmm.
unless those kind of scenario will not come, then you will not upgrade. So if you are using
Yes.
legacy Dynatrace server, okay, and you have not
Mm-hmm.
upgraded, then you can see little difference in the UI. Okay, it would be same setting tab, everything is same. Okay, just
Okay.
little legacy you can see, but 99% customer they have upgrading their environment. And
Oh.
most of the customer now they are migrating to their SaaS, managed to SaaS. Now even
Okay.
Dynatrace is saying boss, you do manage to SaaS, come to manage to SaaS, okay? I'll give more
Mm.
flexibility, more benefits, lot of things. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So now you see here we have an anomaly detection. Where? You see here? So this is
Yes.
your anomaly detection. And now you see here, anomaly detection we have for how many things? Web application, mobile
Mm-hmm.
mobile application crash rate, okay, custom application crash rate, service custom application just like IoT device, those kind of applications we have, right? Internet of
Okay.
those
Yes.
kind of application that we need to configure as a custom application
Okay.
that you will get in real time, okay, those custom application mobile application configuration, but I will show you how to configure so that in the
Mm.
interview you can able to answer. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, database will set up. Okay, then database. So we have a many. Uh, now you think it's a very small environment. Loading time it is taking this much. If you have a managed and very big environment, that's what I'm surprising. How much time it will take to load? Hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a database. Then we have a extension event. You have some extension. Extension, you know.
Yeah. Well, like plugins, right? I mean, for some for databases, I believe there is an extension, something
Uh,
like that. Mm.
Metric event here we have that you have to configure. So custom alert doesn't mean that metric event. Okay, you configure a metric, you already configured metric, you want to create an event for that. Okay, then frequent issue detection that also you can enable, and this is for anomaly detection for your application services. Okay, now the
Okay.
infrastructure, either your
Mm-hmm.
cluster, Kubernetes cluster, yeah, your normal VM, either Windows, Linux. Okay, if you go to your host disk, custom disk means C drive, D drive, E drive, right? A specific disk you have a requirement. Okay,
Okay.
we have a disk case, then we have AWS and VMware. Okay, then Kubernetes cluster level, node level, namespace level, workload level, and persistent volume claim level. Okay, so we have this many anomaly detection, and each anomaly detection service that there is own anomaly detection in the local setting. Suppose you go to your host page, you can see one anomaly detection. If you see service page, you can see their own anomaly detection. Okay. I will show you that. If you click on this, let me open service page also. And application page also. You can see here. One is host group setting, you see,
Mm.
and one is host setting. So this is your host setting, and this is your host group setting. If you any host
Okay.
and go to your host group setting, then entire host, suppose under this host group, this is my host group, under this, if 20 hosts are there, all the 20 hosts will be applicable if I'll do the changes in this host group. If this setting,
Mm.
if I'll do you, if you will do that, then this is specific for this host. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if you go to setting tab, now let's keep the global setting for infrastructure one threshold value. So this is your, see, I want to have the CPU saturation. What does it mean? Automatic. Automatic means Dynatrace will calculate your baseline. Okay. So I want to
Mhm.
custom setting. So you need to enter a threshold value. So I am entering threshold value for 90. Okay. Okay. CPU saturation.
Mhm.
Okay. And this is for event threshold. Okay. So now 90% I have added. So this is your global, means across the application. Okay. Suppose you have 100 management zone, 100 management zone, and their server will consider CPU usage 90%. Okay. Now I went to host setting and I will do the changes for anomaly detection for infrastructure. Okay. So this see what value it is taking right now for CPU saturation. 90%.
90. Yeah, 90. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now if you do the changes, okay, if you do the changes 90 to 95, yeah, 85, suppose example. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
See in the top, you can see anything here. Anything you don't
No
see here?
setting.
Nothing you see here.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you click on save changes, it will showcase you. See, your this setting means this host setting are overriding. Are you getting my point?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So means you are overriding it. I have
Mm.
one threshold, but on top of that, you want to. So now this host is not coming to global threshold.
Global one. Right.
Okay. So what
Mm.
other than that, like metrics for memory disk, I have not done the changes. You so what is your mindset? Only CPU is getting impacted? No. Entire KPIs under this is getting for this host is getting impacted. Okay. So now your CPU is getting impacted. Now memory you want to go. This also. So currently we have done the changes. Okay. Okay. So let's do memory.
Sorry, can you come again? So entire host settings are overridden. How come?
Okay. So you think like I am changing the threshold value for 90%. Okay.
Uh,
For CPU. So only CPU KPI is getting no. Whatever the changes if you will do now, suppose this also I am memory usage. This is also 90%. So I am giving this is also what is the 90%. Okay. Memory also 90%. Okay. But if you go to host, it will take memory 90%. Are you getting my point? Your host setting will take your memory 90%. Okay.
Mm.
But it will take from local setting. Because
Okay.
for the global setting you have, expect what KPI you have done. Apart from that, everything will be replica. Okay.
Mm.
Like a snapshot. You have taken a snapshot. So in the locally, but that will take, but value will trigger from your local threshold. Alert will get triggered from your local threshold, not global threshold. Because
Okay.
the thing itself is overridden, right? Remember,
Mm.
you are not
Yeah.
overriding the specific KPI. You are overriding the setting itself.
Mm.
So now
Yeah,
you
the setting is overridden, but even though for some metrics it's automatic, that data will only be collected. I mean, that metric will only be alerted.
so now no. If you CPU
Mm.
85%, so which is fine. Memory which we have 90%, memory will take 90%.
Yes, it is automatic. That's why it will take 90% from there.
No, no. So memory also so what is happening is whatever the changes if you do global setting, that will create one
Mm.
replica in your local, correct?
Yes. Mm.
And now, in that, whatever the threshold value you have done, so it will take that. So apart from that, it will your alert will get triggered from your local setting, not global,
Yes.
because
Mm.
this setting you are overriding. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Is it clear? Yes, still you
Yeah.
confusion. Means just I wanted to say that you have one global setting. Okay. Just example, you have changed all the threshold value. Okay. Like set
Mm.
memory, disk, everything. Okay. Now you done the local changes for one KPI. Other KPI will have it will have a same threshold value which has a global threshold value. Okay, because you have not done the changes. But alert will get triggered from your local setting, not global setting, because you this setting itself you are overriding. Are you getting my point?
Yes. Yeah, that's what, like, my question is, here we have changed the CPU saturation to custom, and as well as the memory we have changed, right?
Hmm.
But the rest of the metrics we haven't changed. Example, it's still automatic. The high number, whatever the other metrics are still automatic. We have changed only two metrics to custom. The alert will go from here, but the threshold value is automatic. There it is 90, right? So here also it's 90
So that
for
will
the
be the
rest.
similar.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah,
So
that is what.
so
Mm.
now you understood the global setting and local setting, right? Same goes to
Yes.
service also, same goes to application also. So you're up to,
Mm.
okay, so we have 23 service. Now you see, service page is also getting changed now. You see here.
Mm.
You see? Now earlier service, there is a two service page, okay? One is service for classic. You have seen that there is a two service page.
Mm.
One you have seen service for classic. This is your old UI. You have options to change your theme, okay? Like suppose you want to change your theme somewhere. So you see somewhere dark something.
Appearance?
You see here. So you have options
Mm.
to change your theme, okay?
Oh. Mm.
So if you go to your this service, so this service is a little different. This service is completely different, okay?
Mm.
So they are keep on changing, okay? Now suppose you go to payment service, okay? Now, so this your service looks like now. You see? Overview, service metrics, info, metrics, infrastructure. If there is the logs enabled, then you can see the logs. Okay. You see how a streamline they have done. Properly they are doing it. Okay.
Mm.
Loading data, I can say there is a lot of problem, which is fine. Event, and analyze. Now tell me where you do the changes for local setting.
Oh, for the services, you mean?
Uh, So this is your
Okay,
setting.
then.
You see here, but
Mm.
it is not going your where which setting. It is not going
So the
that setting which has a threshold value. It is going to different setting. So no, it is going to same setting. It is
mm,
pointing same setting. You see, sir,
mm,
hotel payment service setting anomaly. So you have a threshold value here where you can do that changes. Suppose I have done the changes for fixed threshold value for 300 ms. Okay.
mm.
So, but in global setting we have a, so this setting are overriding, but global has which value? Anomaly detection that which
Services.
that value.
Mm,
Okay. Like
mm,
go to your anomaly detection. Where is it? So if you go to your service,
mm.
you see still
100.
automatic. Still it is automatic. Automatic.
Mm,
Dynatrace will decide what threshold value after 1 week. Okay.
yeah.
But
Mm,
in local setting, I have done the fifth threshold. So this
mm,
service, if it is taking more than 300, it will send alert. Apart from that, whatever things was as a automatic, right, for
mm.
service, whatever thing that will have the same threshold. You see, that will have a same threshold. Apart from that, okay, but like it will take a baselining model. Yeah, which model? Okay, but this got changed. So that option both you have. Okay,
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah. And
Your
one question, yeah, one question. Here we are seeing only like one set of threshold, right? Usually we will have a critical warning, like
Binary
rules. Like,
doesn't have warning threshold, critical threshold, something like that. Okay, we
mm,
have a one threshold value. Okay,
oh, okay.
binary doesn't
Mm-hmm.
send an alert like a warning alert and critical alert. It will not send you. Dynatrace will send you a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So only one threshold we should provide.
Now, so now suppose you have, so how you have to manage. So you want to have in service now like P1 alert or P2 alert, right?
Mm.
That you have, right? In your
Yeah,
mind,
yeah,
priority,
yeah,
priority to something like that, correct?
yeah, yeah.
Now,
Mm.
they will ask you. So this is a good question. In the interview, they used to ask. Okay. So you can say that Dynatrace doesn't have warning threshold for and critical threshold. Okay. Because most of the tools, even AppD has, Datadog has, all the tools
Mm.
have warning threshold, critical threshold. But Dynatrace doesn't have. Dynatrace work in the problem concept. Okay. You keep one threshold value, I will send you a problem.
Mm.
Here clear? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, after that, so when you are sending a problem to ServiceNow, so what I will do is how you consider priority P1. If threshold is
Mm.
more than 95, correct?
Yes.
Say P1. Yeah. And on top of that, you are having some application tag with the help of tag, like which application has a P1 priority. So this is a tier 1, tier 2 application, right?
Mm.
So in the banking sector, we used to call BC1 to BC5. Business criticality 1, business criticality 2, BC3, BC4, something like that, correct?
Mm. Mm.
I don't know whether you have worked in bank, but bank has this strategy. Okay, business criticality, which
Yeah.
application belongs to a business, real business, right?
Mm.
We used to call BC1. So we
Okay.
have a BC1 servers, okay, and now you want to, so definitely you'll have application, right, belongs to, so you can select environment prod application this, so tier you should take BC1 BC2 application tier. Okay, so
Mm.
application BC1 application, so you have taken. Now you want to set for threshold value. Okay, like a warning, and here also critical, you can set it up. So now you kept a threshold value for 85% in Dynatrace. So when it will go to 85%, it will send you alert. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yes.
and Dynatrace will trigger alert when it will go to 90 also. Okay, because Dynatrace
Mm.
will keep ascending until unless. So you need to receive a alert. Okay, and then one threshold you have, and then when it is goes to this, then you say this is a P1 alert. So you set a configure in service now such a way that when this threshold, I receive a problem for 90%, okay, for BC1, so I can say this is a P1 alert. Okay, and this is this, so I can set up a P2 alert. So like this, you need to do that. Okay, like in the ServiceNow module, they need to write a ServiceNow developer team, development team. They need to write a such a way the logic so that it will pick the threshold, and based on the threshold, they can take as a consider this as a P1, P2 whatever. Okay.
So it should be done from the service now team.
Ha, not from the
Oh. Mm-hmm.
okay.
Okay.
Sometimes in the interview they used to ask how you can
Okay.
P1, P2 alert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, so this part is clear. So now we can move to custom alert.
Mm, yeah.
Okay. So we have for all the KP, all the like what I used to say, all type of application. Okay, like mobile app, database, service, server. Okay, metric. Now you have how you can configure your metric event. So these are basic KPI which will suffice you 70% of your problem, which saving your time at least for 70%, 70 to 80%. Suppose you have enabled 50 application in Dynatrace, okay, and with the help of global anomaly detection or local anomaly detection, they are saving you 6 months of effort. Are you getting my point? Six
Mm-hmm.
months of effort. Because see, each application has how many servers? 10 server. So there is a way, one
Mm-hmm.
either based on the tag, Datadog, we used to go with the tag and we used to configure the monitors. Okay. So we
Mm-hmm.
combined. Okay. Yeah. If you want to go individual for each server wise, okay, then yeah, application wise, what will happen is at least 1 month will take you to configure a custom, you configure this basic API.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to interact with application team, naming convention. Okay, you need to set up some configures, add some tag to filter the data, a lot of things. Then you need to check, you need to test it, and then you need to send alert, right? So those kind of test configuration, Dynatrace is completely removed. Now, on top of that, 60% your effort, that is the basic KPI to survive this application, to sustain this application, which is suffice. Okay. Now, on top of that, you need a metric. You need a custom header. So custom alert also you can configure for basic KPIs also. Again,
Okay.
basic KPI,
Uh-huh.
if you will 90%, I need alert. You can configure custom alert also. You can configure, you have a anomaly detection also. But why we not configure custom alert? Because that license will charge, because your DEM
Yep.
metrics will get consumed, and it is not required. It is already available. Are you getting my point? You have one flat, then again you want to buy, that is your wish, right? But you have to pay for it, correct?
Yeah.
So that's way, okay. But that doesn't make sense to have another CPU alert for 90%, okay. But on top of that, you can have your custom alert for that, okay. Custom alert, custom requirement. Suppose you have a requirement to give something to someone, then you can give, right? Otherwise, why should I give? So like this. So metric event, you need to configure. So this is your custom alert. Now, CC custom alert based configuration, zero tolerance, review top contributing configuration limit, okay, metric event limit, learn mode. Now, so this. Now, how you can configure? So suppose I want to configure, suppose one process will take, okay?
So this will consume extra license, I mean, for
This
this
is
metric
a
event.
DEM unit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Licensing we'll discuss, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you want to configure for Prometheus server. Prometheus
Service.
process, if it's
Mm-hmm.
consuming more than 20%, I need alert. Okay, just as an
Mm.
example. Okay, So
Okay.
I'm giving this Prometheus process CPU uses. I'm not giving the best naming convention, just I'm giving the random range. Okay. Reach 20%. Okay, I need alert. Okay, this is my
Mhm.
requirement. This is your Prometheus process. When it is crossed 20%, I need a alert. Okay. So there is
Okay.
a two way. One is metric key, metric selector. So if I'll go metric selector, then I need to write a query to fetch the metrics. Okay, which is
Okay.
little difficult for anyone, right?
Mm.
So most of the time you used to go with a metric key. Okay, metric
Mm.
key, you'll have a metric. Means for same metric, you want to write a query and then fetch. Are you getting my point? Means
Okay.
you have done the automation. Okay. You don't want, you are more technical, so you don't want to go manual. You want to go by the, suppose I want to log in my system. I can have one, I can have some AI agent, something like that, which can log in my system, which can log in my Dynatrace portal, which can log in my AWS cloud, and at least open the bridge. That they can do it, right? I can do it. But that is completely custom. So I don't want to do that because most of the time people doesn't use it. Okay. And sometimes you'll have a requirement to use it only. Okay. Why? Because sometimes you are fetching the metrics from the logs. Are you getting my point? That time you have to write a query. So business use.
Oh.
Okay. But for metrics based KPIs which has a metric in the metric page, you can go with the metric key. Okay.
Mm.
So now I am giving process CPU usage. So this is for host. I don't need host. I need process. So you see
No.
process
Mm.
usage this generic. So when you select generic and average, whichever the value, you see how many processes applicable. All the
Mm.
process. So now, so if you don't select the management zone, then so in the real time environment, you can see thousands of process. Okay.
Yes.
So if you filters, once you filter, so I am doing the Verma apps. You see,
Mm.
only this. Are you getting my point?
Mm. Yeah.
So it got changed, right? So
Mm.
hotel apps. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's changing.
it's getting changed. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
in that, suppose I'm going to hotel app and then I want to select for which process? Prometheus process. So
Mm.
either I can do entity filter. Yeah. You select, click on this. So either if I
Oh.
click on this, then each page I have to go, which is
Mm.
very difficult, right? Each page you go. Now, suppose this I will click direct here, right? It will take filter. Okay, it is not taking. So it is not taking. So you need to write an entity filter. Okay. So I'm giving entity equals and you select the Prometheus. So you can able to understand here which one is Prometheus. No, right?
Mm. Mm.
Because it is coming with entity. So I'll take process group name. Anything you can take. Process group name equals. Now you see. Now you can able to understand here.
Mm.
But still Prometheus is not coming up. You see. Now you see Prometheus here.
Yes.
So I take this.
Okay.
So how many it is getting now applicable? Only one. So you
Yeah.
have a requirement for how many process I want to have. Five, six, you want to combine that also you can do that. Then you want to have some threshold value. So this goes 20%, then I need a alert.
Mm.
I keep now you need which value? Percentage value.
Mm.
You need when your data is getting missed, means something is not working and you'll have no data. That time also you need alert. missing data, missing
Oh,
agent got
okay, miss.
restarted, something like that, right? So at
Oh,
that time we will don't have data, right? So I need, no, I don't need.
okay.
Alert
Okay.
if metric is above, then metric is above. When you have 20% threshold, then you will send alert. Okay. So above
Mm.
and below, we have a two options. Now it will collect the value dimension for 1 day or 3 days. Okay. And then you need to event template. Event template, you know, right? When you receive a problem, what kind of template you will receive? Subject line. Okay. This is your subject.
Oh.
Okay. So you need to
Mm.
uh, process
Group.
CPU uses greater than, you can template it properly 90%. Okay. And I
Mm-hmm.
need it. Now here event type. So you have seen that, right? Alert profile, when you configure, right, we have a severity, correct?
Mm. Yes.
So we have this, so slowdown, resource, error.
Errors.
These are
Availability.
monitoring
Mm.
availability. These are
The
in default.
severity level.
So always you have to select custom alert so that it will take a custom alert severity. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And
one second. Yeah. Mm.
okay. On top of that, there is so many things here. Now you see, you have seen that process selected, this till here clear. Now you have a property stack, correct?
Yeah. Just can you scroll up
Hmm.
before going? So, you said about dimension values, right? There I did not get it. So it's the data collected for like 1 day, 3 days.
So here we have a dimension value. So see, dimension value would like to preview. So suppose now alert missing data. Okay, so I want to
Mm.
preview the data. You want to see the data. Okay, for 1 day, 3 day. It will give you the preview and it will suggest some threshold value also. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that you can able to understand, like you want, sometimes you suppose somebody say, hey, we need to tweak the threshold value, so you need to data, you need to see the data, right? How the data flow is happening, how the data is getting triggered, how the alert is getting added, how the threshold is getting changed, right? So what you want to see, so you take a data for 1 day, you take a data for 3 days for analyzing, you take a data for
Oh,
7 days, then you analyze it. Are you getting my point?
oh, okay.
I
Yeah. Mm.
wanted to keep 20% or 10%. Are you getting my point?
Mm.
So
Yes.
for that preview, so you want to do that preview and then see, then Dynatrace will suggest you some uh, threshold, and based on that you want to go, you want to have a specific requirement, then no need to go for a preview, also directly configure.
Okay.
Now, suppose you want to configure for 4x error, 5x error. Okay. So HTTP 4x error.
So all the custom alerts we have to come into metric event section and we have to perform.
Yeah. Now you
Mm-hmm.
need to search for 4xx. Just you type 4xx. So as you see how many 4xx is coming. So
Okay.
this is for tech HA proxy. I don't have, because this is for CouchDB. This is for service
Mm-hmm.
key request. Okay.
Oh. Mm.
Now this is for built-in service key request error 4x count. Okay.
Mm.
So there is so many, but which one I need? So I need for a specific service. Okay. So when you take number of 4x error, and this is for service error count, 4x count, right? Means it will applicable for all the service, and I will filter it on one service, right? Agree?
Mm.
If you have a
Yeah.
requirement for application elastic load balancer, then I'll go with this classic load balancer, right? Then I'll go with this. I need for service, so I need a select a service. Now, if you see, one is aggregation value. Now, if you show in Explorer, so it will, what it will get? It will redirect to new page. It will show you that 4x error for across all the service. You see here. Now you need to analyze. Are you getting my point?
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to set your threshold. So see, now you run the query. So I don't see any errors. Okay, but you can get the data. So let's take for 30 days. But you see, so for data analyze, now you see on the first Feb, we have a 2, 16, then 12, some value 0, 3, something, lot of values coming up, right? So now I need to set a threshold values. I'll take data for at least for 7 days, and I will see how big it is going. So it is crossing 14. I will select the
Mm-hmm.
threshold value at least 4. If it is 4x error greater than 10, I need alert. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on top of that, also you should know I need a 4x error for which service. If you see all services are visible, so you need to understand whenever you are configuring, there will be a custom requirement. So payment service is very important, right? Because you are getting the payment, right? And it will got failed, so it will went to somewhere else, correct? Some of the
Yeah.
bank. Okay, and bank will earn money for one day. Like suppose suddenly bank total transaction, it got, suppose you are sending a money so to someone, some $1 million, $1 billion. Okay, it got failed. Okay, now who will receive the money? In the bank account it came, bank received the money. Now
Mm-hmm.
bank has to transfer, so they will take for at least 24 hours to 70 hours, 72 hours.
Yes.
Big
Mm-hmm.
transaction, then they need to analyze from where it is coming, why it came, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So in that 2 days, share market will go high, right? Because they got the money. So they don't think like they will keep the money in their account. They'll also distribute. Money will floated. I got the money, okay, share will go high. So a lot of things will happen. This is a business cycle, okay? That doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to understand. So I need to see. So this is very important. Payment gateway. Now somebody buying a flight ticket, right? So you are getting a revenue, you are getting a business. The payment gateway itself not working. Then what does it mean? Do you think so next time that people will come to your website and buy a ticket? No,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
nobody will come. That guy will
Yeah.
definitely sure will not come. I'll go with different if you have option. If you don't have option, then you have to go with that only. But if you have an alternative option, then you will switch. So those kind of service we need to monitor also with the forex error, all those things, privacy, everything. Okay. So I will select the service. So I will take a entity ID this time. Entity filter. So entity if
Mm-hmm.
you take, then just you give entity value. You see, it got added. So see now it is
Mm-hmm.
matching filter criteria is only one.
Yes.
Okay. Now you send the threshold value at least for 10. So I need which threshold? Count value. Correct? When
Mm-hmm.
it is reached to 10, I need alert crossing 10. So lesser than, yeah, greater than. So greater than. If it is greater than 10, then I need alert. Now you see preview, because why data is not coming? Because my application was down. Okay. That is the reason data was not coming. I will show you in the real time. Okay. Just a minute. Me. Okay. So you see here in setting time.
So now the error metric what we have configured is you said custom alert, right? If
Ah,
any error metric, then in the severity level we have availability error also, right?
see, so error we have. So by default, Dynatrace, which error can manage? Okay. Like 4x error also will come, 5x error also will come, okay? But you need a specific requirement. I need an error when it is crossing more than 10, more than 20. So there is so many things we have, okay? So just I'm giving you the option how you can configure a custom method, okay? So you will get a requirement is completely different, okay? So if you see Dynatrace real time, now let's go to setting tab, the anomaly detection, metric event. So see what kind of requirement you are getting. You see, imagine Aurora CPU utilization. See, so this kind of requirement you are getting. See, this is for app service, Azure app service CPU percentage. So you will get like this custom requirement, okay? DB test, cost DB process error. So I'm giving the process so that you can able to understand how it can be taken, okay? See, Cloud SQL
Mm.
database CPU utilization, F5 host IO weight CPU consumption, okay? So this is for Google Cloud. This is for pool unavailable for LTM. This for more. So you need to understand and then you need to configure that. Okay. So see something you can get it here. Then you see here we have a threshold. It is not coming up.
Mm.
Okay. No data. Number maintenance last one 0. That is the reason. But you can see that. Okay. And if you want to see this data in Metric Explorer, just you click here so that you can able to understand this what does it mean of that, okay? So that you can able to understand what it has to be configured and you can able to do that. So one KPI, basic KPI you can understand than any KPI. If you have the KPI in your data explorer, you can able to do that. Are you getting my point?
Mhm. Yeah.
So for the data is stored for 35 days only, which is fine. So you can able to do that. So you see here filter by enabled. You see, Palo Alto, air intake high temperature. See, so
Mhm.
they have taken it. Now you want to do in Data Explorer. You see, so all custom requirement you have to configure in your Data Explorer. That you have to in mindset. Okay, it is not coming. Okay, which is fine. There won't be data or something like that. But you see, most of the KPIs, it is here on. Means your now see IBM MQ level, right? Messaging queue level.
Messaging. Okay.
Q def too high. Q in build. So this kind of requirement you will not get in basic. Okay.
Mm.
The configuration is almost same because I don't have those kind of application right now. I can enable MQ and then I can show you the MQ.
Mm.
But I can show the how it should be. So it should be same concept. Okay. IBM
Okay.
MQ, summary name, then type, then metric inbuilt, then you select the metrics, then you filter your management zone, then you have given the threshold, right? Which entity, which
Yeah.
thing. Okay. So this is configuration is almost same for each KPIs. Okay. If you see hyper virtual machine utilization percent, same. So some of the thing you need to write a query. Okay. If it is not
Mm.
available in the metric, then you need to write a query. So it will fetch it from your log. It will fetch it from anywhere. Okay. So now you see here, you see how many Juniper generic device, high routing enabled. So mostly see IBM MQ, queue manager not available, yeah, unreachable. IBM has a queue manager, right? So
Mm.
that is not available. So I need those kind of KPI, it has to be configured, right? So see, for Kubernetes, PVC increase growth rate. PVC increase growth rate warning, critical. You see, that also you can do. When you configure your custom payload, you can do warning also. I need 80% warning, then 90% I can need configure for critical. Are you getting my point? That you can do, but one itself you can want it to have like a one itself you have a warning and this critical, that you cannot have because it has only one option to set a threshold.
Okay.
Okay, so GC suspension time. So there is a most of the KPIs. Okay, like suppose in your organization, for one application it has to configure 50 KPI, 30 to 40 KPI it will manage by your anomaly detection. Okay,
Mm.
10 KPIs you have to configure as a custom.
Okay.
Okay, just to think 90 is to 10 per application ratio. If
Mhm.
100 KPI you have to configure for one application, 90% will manage by your global anomaly detection. Anomaly detection, 10 KPI only you have to configure, which is very niche KPI. Niche KPI means critical to one application, one service, one database, one query, something like that. With that specific to logs, then you need to configure.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you will see what is extension event, that also you, right?
Mm.
So extension event, right? That is also some kind of metric you can configure. Okay. But when you configure, so here you see Redis replica, service down. So a lot of things you are getting it here in the real time.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You see how many.
Yeah.
You want to monitor your SAP. There is no direct way you install a agent, a lot of things, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have your extension. Are you getting my point? To monitor
Yeah.
your SAP application. Okay. And then based on that extension, you monitor and then metric you can take from the extension. Okay. So whichever extension you have used to monitor
Mm-hmm.
your application, you monitor their resource services. Okay. That will come via extension. This is metric even just for where you have installed the agent, where you have configured some you have install agent and then you configure web application database, not wrong. The direct integration, right? Direct it is supported. One
Mm-hmm.
is other way around. Other way around means either you develop some plugin, yeah, Dynatrace provide some extension to monitor those things, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Extension just kind of plugin, right? And then you monitor
Mm.
those kind of things you have to configure in the extension event.
So these events are coming from, I did not get this. How these events, like those extension events?
So in the suppose you are monitoring my SAP application, so there is no
Mm.
direct way to monitor. You go and install Dynatrace One Agent for SAP application, and then you do that because SAP is a completely different, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Now you want to. So what you will do? You will configure some extension to my application to monitor that. Okay.
Okay. Mm.
So now Dynatrace is able to monitor your SAP application, correct?
Yes.
Now
Mm.
those metrics, it is metric is data is coming via extension because
Mm-hmm.
data is not getting monitored by one agent, right? And that has a by default metrics, all those things. So data is
Mm.
coming via extension. So what I have to,
Yes.
so I have to configure extension KPIs.
Oh, okay. So these are extension KPIs.
Extension events. Because
Okay.
you understand that these are the configured by extension. They have segregate.
Okay.
That's it. Okay.
Mm.
I don't have any
Okay.
extension, but I will.
Okay.
So let's see.
Can we also once go through any metric anomaly detection of services once?
Yeah, yeah, one second.
Mm. Yeah.
These are by default is enabled. Okay.
Okay.
By default, this is your extension events are enabled. Okay. Now on top of that, we don't have any kind of to directly like in you configure extension event. See, we don't have options to configure. This is our environment. Okay. We don't have any
Mm.
option to configure extension event. So how the extension is taking it? You would deploy that plugin when you are deploying any extension events. Okay. Extension itself, we have all the KPIs. You have added Dynatrace URL, the token, API token, everything, threshold value, everything. It will get replicated here. So one is by default they are given that, but how you can deploy extension is go to your monitor technology,
Okay.
add new technology. You see, add JMX PMI extension.
Mm.
So what you need to do, upload your extension. If you have any extension, you need to upload it. So by default that it will take all the KPIs through your metric. Okay.
Mhm.
So this when you develop the extension, right, it will connect to your application. Okay. It will fetch, it will run some query, it will fetch the data just like a script, bigger script. Okay. You deploy it on your active area, you can hear Dynatrace one agent itself can support. You deploy it, that extension will get, it will add it in your extension. One row will get added. Are you getting my point? This is a
Kind of.
completely
Mm.
custom, but you can able to do that. Some of the KPI,
Mm.
suppose just you think one KPI is not applicable. So what you have to do? You need to develop a plugin.
Mm-hmm.
It's called extension.
Mm-hmm.
Extension you develop, what you will do? You need to deploy.
One agent.
No need to deploy one agent, right? That extension has to be deployed, right?
Okay. Mm.
Extension, so one agent directly, you don't have any active case. You deploy here, and so that one agent will take this extension, okay, and fetch the data. It will send it to Dynatrace server.
Okay.
Okay, so that way it is okay. So it is very
Mm.
little when you develop it and you come to know that, then only you will. But theoretically, you can understand for any custom, you need to develop some plugin, you need to develop some extension, and then you need to go through it. Okay, now you said service. So this is your service anomaly detection. So service has a response time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's automatic, so you can change to fixed threshold. If you don't do, then it will take a 1 week to do database lining, but still it will send an alert. Okay. Then we have a failure rate. Then has a
Okay.
service has a avoid over alerting, and then we have a service response time and service load spike. But where we have a 4x error and 5x error, we don't have. Okay.
Mm.
You can see that
So,
4x error
yeah.
and 5x error in the application in the service page, how many errors has happened last 4 hours or something. But you will see the problem, but how it will get triggered, everything. So that you need to understand.
Mm.
Dynatrace has a AI. They can understand the problem. They can create a problem, but has a response time, has a failure rate, but it will trigger. Okay, it will trigger. So response time and failure rate. Whenever you have, it will come everything, right? Increase in
Mm.
failure rate means what does it mean? Service is not responding. Somebody is getting request is getting failed, right?
Yeah. Okay.
It will come.
Mm.
So it will come. So failure rate increase means it will come everything, forex error, everything it will come, right? Inside itself that. Okay. But
Mm.
you have a requirement for a specific request, a specific
Specific.
service, and that goes some threshold. Then you need error. Those kind of requirement have, then you can configure. But I have shown you just for how you can create a custom application. Okay. In your real-time environment, a real-time organization, when you do that, nobody will ask you how you can configure the people will ask you, suppose this metric doesn't available in anomaly. Actually, basically they use everyone knows Dynatrace detect all the problems, which is anomaly.
Mm.
Okay. But on top of that, you need to configure a custom alert. You need to configure a metric event. You need to configure your uh, uh, extension event. Okay, so you can tell them that. Okay, if metric is available in the data explorer, data in the server itself, then you can configure your metric event. Okay, if metric is not available in your data explorer, even though you can't fetch it from the logs, everything you tried, it is not available, then you need to develop a plugin, and through plugin, it will get configured. Okay, it can be enabled through the metric event. What is that? Which event used to extension? Okay, that's it.
Mhm.
So understood? And this is for frequent issue detection. Dynatrace will detect frequent issue with the application. Means you can enable more which application has a frequent issue, infrastructure. So those kind of also it will send you that annotation or something like that, so that you can understand these
Mhm.
are the application, right? Has a
Mhm.
frequent infrastructure issue, frequent application issue, all those things. It will mention in that root cause application. You can enable disable just.
Okay.
Okay. So hope is it clear your anomaly detection how you can configure. Is a completely
Yeah.
different from the AppD, completely different
Mhm.
data lake, completely different from Neuralink.
Yeah, little. Mm.
So just you have to remember one is anomaly detection for globally and locally, and
Mm.
other than that KPIs you have to configure.
Mm.
That's it. As a
Okay.
layman, you have to remember only this thing. Any interview, if you go and they'll ask you, if you say most of the KPIs which can suffice your problem, it is available in anomaly detection.
Okay.
Anomaly detection that has a global, which is applicable for everywhere, and one we have a local. Okay.
Mm.
Then apart from that, this applicable for almost. Okay, application, host, process, infrastructure. Okay. Now, apart from that, we have to configure custom memory. Now, I will ask you one question as an interview. As an interview, suppose you have done Dynatrace integration with AWS. Okay, still we have not done. Okay, and I can see AWS CPU. Just to tell me CPU utilization for host and AWS CPU utilization. Okay, for that same host, the same KPI is a different KPI.
Different. It could be different.
So AWS CPU utilization,
Mm.
if see when your one agent is getting installed on your server, okay, then you have host, CPU, memory, disk, everything, okay, and you have done integration just with your cloud, your server running on this AWS cloud, and Dynatrace done integration, then and you have not installed the agent, then what will you get? AWS CPU utilization, CPU EC2
Mm.
CPU usage, okay, that is different,
Mhm.
and that has to be configured through customer. That is case you okay. So sometimes in the interview they used to gauge you in that way also. If
Okay.
you go to an AWS integration page, we have not done integration, just I'll showcase you that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my
So
AWS.
you mean this AWS CPU will be the custom one?
Huh.
Okay.
So you see here, but both are infrastructure. Okay, so I'm going to one zone has a 15 hosts. So EU central one we have a 15 host. Each host running. Now see, this host doesn't run. See, agent is not running.
Mm. Mm.
No, no, state is running, but here what it is saying, no one agent.
No one agent.
So go to this host. Now see, you are getting CPU. Okay, but this host, you are getting CPU, but this is coming via AWS EC2 CPU usage.
Yeah. Mm.
So let's see, copy this host and go to your data explorer. So you can
Okay.
understand it more. Okay. Now type AWS CPU. You should type. So you can see RDS, EC2 CPU users. This is for AWS.
Mm.
AWS has a EC2 server we used to call, right? So EC2
Oh,
CPU users. Now you want to split by EC2 instance and you want to filter by instance name, which is this server. This is different KPI. And this you have to configure. That will take CPU is for host where one agent is installed, your metric event, right? And now,
mhm.
but still it is you have a direct integration. But what you have to configure? Custom alert. Okay. Now take
Yes.
CPU just for this host, whether it is coming or not, so that you can able to understand. For same host, I want to have a host CPU usage, okay, for that host KPI. Okay, CPU usage. So this is my host. You see, right?
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
You just built in. This is your host. Split by host, filter by host name, and filter your host. You see, this host is not okay. It is coming now. See, but no data. Host is
Mm.
coming up, but no data. Why?
Okay. So the data collection not happening for the host, but since
Data
Dynatrace
collection is
is
happening. You see here, right? You have seen that, right? CPU you are getting right. CPU you have seen na on the host page. But
oh
this
right, right.
you
CPU is
have
there.
one agent. This is
Okay.
a cloud integration. That's what I want.
Hmm.
So this CPU is what is that? What do you have to configure now? Custom alert, right? But
Right.
am I clear?
Yeah.
Understood that use case? Now how it is
Hmm.
coming? So you need to understand whichever things. This is also coming in the metric event only. You have to configure metric event only. Okay?
Okay.
But
Hmm.
configuration is completely different. So we are fetching direct integration through the help of integration. Okay? That is the reason memory KPI is not available. Once you install the memory, then what you will get? CPU also get, memory also get, AWS CPU also get. Because you have a
Okay.
both, right? You have a agent also and integration also.
Hmm.
So you will get both the KPIs. AWS CPU usage also EC2 CPU usage and host CPU usage and memory usage also you'll get when you install the one agent. Because one agent work this AWS EC2 server will work in different way. That is the reason memory is not visible. And you see process nothing is getting visible. You see in our server, right? Process is also getting visible. Why? Because we have installed one agent on the server.
Hmm.
Is it clear?
Yes.
So now suppose you want to configure EC2 CPU, EBS volume, you have to configure your custom metric event. Okay.
Hmm.
Now same thing it has developed by coming via plugin, then you have to configure your
Extension. Yeah.
extension event. Okay. So see how extension event, I'll show you that real time. Oh, setting tab, monitor technology. You see, these are extension event. So this is still, so this got deprecated. So extension got deprecated. This plugin got not supported. You see, but still this is applicable. So when you click on
Hmm.
that, you see all the KPIs. You see, these are the KPIs.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is your extension you used to call. And based on that, we have one. You have a so default whatever it is showing, right? Because you cannot
Mm-hmm.
configure. That is your direct extension that Dynatrace provide. Okay. So if you go to your hub and type extension. So we have SAP, just to type SAP. See, SAP, you see, this is the extension.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to configure the extension. So there is a relay node, you need to understand how to configure and then You need to install first extension and you need to configure. So that KPI by default it will come in your extension event. So which is default KPI. For extension, you can't configure. There is no way
Mm.
you have seen this metrics. Suppose you have seen this, right? For metric event, right? Now,
Mm.
this you have seen, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you go to this, already it is configured. Okay. So monitor configuration, one health is okay. Add configuration. Yeah, okay, I don't have. Okay. But now suppose you have seen one KPI, which is in the setting tab you have seen, right? One is metric event or something. So you will think that this will be available in custom events.
No extension event, right?
No, extension also might, yeah, might not be. There is, so that would be whichever it is showing, that is default one. So related to that, then you have used automatically that KPI will get added. KPI is there.
Mm.
Okay. Because just
Mm.
like auto, like you use this KPI. So these are the metric we are giving to you. Okay. This extension you use, I'm giving to, suppose you went to this.
So whatever extensions we are downloading, we can see here in the monitoring technologies.
No, no. This is a monitor technology, that extension that you are uploaded, you are using it. Suppose BG thread count. So you are thinking it will get available where? In your extension event,
Mm. Yes.
but it is not. You let's see the anomaly detection. You go to your extension event first. Control F, Control V. It is available? No.
Mm.
So doesn't mean that if you have uploaded your extension, it will get added in the extension event. This is just for some extension you have used. So by default KPI they have given to you. That's it. You monitor your SAP application server. I'll give you connectivity loss here. That's it. Okay.
Okay,
No.
so those metrics we need to do as a custom alerts then if they are not here.
But this will get just like a default. But apart from that, suppose now whichever the KPI we have, we can add in the metric event. Apart from that, if something is available in the metric, we can add in the metric event. Extension is by
Yes.
default, they have given some default KPI for extension. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. When you use the extension, some KPI I will use. I will give you the metrics KPI, default KPI. Okay. So, okay. I don't have
So at what percentage the organizations will use these extensions, Ravi? Mhm.
5%.
How many? Okay.
Out
Yeah,
of
because
10
this
application, one
this thing.
application will have some kind of custom extension event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some I told you,
Yes.
right? Some kind of application that are not for Java, .NET, mainframe, Node.js, Python. Okay. Some different way, like SAP, Oracle, ERP, some those kind of Salesforce, Microsoft, right?
No.
Outlook, 365, those kind of applications they want to monitor, right? Then a lot of extension, all those things has to be added. Direct monitoring is not feasible where. So you need to
Mm-hmm.
go via. So via you have to go, then via extension you have to. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this seems little more deep. Like if we.
So in the interview, just you have to tell them that, okay,
Mhm.
by default, global anomaly detection, then which has a default KPI which can suffice your for 50 to 60% your alert. Okay, where you can
Mm.
have your threshold for one is one for auto baselining, one for custom threshold. So as you what you prefer, we used to go with that based on the customer need. Then second is apart from that, any requirement that you used to have, we used to configure your metric events. Okay, if they ask did you heard of then what is custom event? Extension event. Then extension event, you say that directly, whichever the monitoring is not feasible via directly via one agent. Okay. And it is going via extension. via some plugin. Okay. For that plugin, the Dynatrace is supporting that plugin. For that plugin, default KPI is available in custom events or in the extension event. On top of that, you cannot configure your extension event on top of that. For that, when you develop your extension event something, for that metric is available for in Data Explorer, you can configure your metric event. That's it. Understood?
Okay. Mhm.
Just
Okay.
you need to, whenever somebody asking, right, you need to explain in such a way that the second question in that same topic they will not ask. They understood, okay, these guys know. No,
Mm.
really end to end.
Got it.
You got it right?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah,
Hope.
one thing. Uh, so the extension we can download from the hub you have shown one, right? So what is that extensions and what is this monitoring technologies? What
Okay.
is the difference?
Here, see, whatever the Dynatrace support, okay?
Mm.
Dynatrace supported some technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost across the technology, whichever the language it is supported, it is available in your hub. Okay.
Mm. Okay. Mm.
So Dynatrace, so this is available when you have an Active Directory extension, extended monitoring. This is your extension.
Okay.
You see, right? This is extension. You need to install it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to configure it. Now, on top of this extension, and you want to monitor some custom KPIs. Custom KPI, you know. So for when you install extension, right, Dynatrace will give you 5 to 10 KPIs for Active Directory.
Mm.
Correct?
Right.
On top of that, I
Yeah.
need one five more KPI. What do you have to do?
Oh, then we have to create our own
You
KPIs
have
in
to
the.
develop your own extension plugin.
Mm.
Correct? When you develop
Mm.
your own, then what you have to do? You have to deploy it somewhere, right? So sometimes you have to deploy via ActiveGate. Sometimes you have to deploy via one agent. You need to, based on the requirement, you need to think how it can be. It can be deployed on one agent also, another server also. It can be deployed on Active. Most of the scenario, ActiveGate we used to go with that. Okay,
Mhm.
clear? Yes, still you are.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay.
So, no, in the settings, those monitoring technologies are there, right? If you
So
go,
let me showcase you. You see, yeah.
mm,
You have monitor technology.
what are those?
Now, suppose I am configuring one custom metric.
Okay.
I wanted to have some custom metric on the memory level, the full level. Okay, some requirement. So one way is you develop a plugin. Okay,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and then you deploy it. So add new technology. Now you see JMX PMI extension editor we used to call. Okay. Now one is upload your extension via command line. Okay. So just to read this extension from scratch. Okay. And
So
then
these are Java-based application extension.
where it is
Uh,
mentioned Java base.
no, at the top, right? You can create JMX extensions for any Java-based applications. See, in the first lane.
Uh-huh. So you can create a JMX extension for any Java based extension. Exposing ambience, whichever the application exposing ambience, you can do that. Now, this is your first part. Write your extension with JMX PMI extension help, and then you upload. So this is your one
Mm-hmm.
extension. Which Java based application you can write it and fetch that. Okay, and you can upload it. Okay, so this is the way you can write your plugin extension, Java management extension we used to call JBean something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you see you are getting something Hornet queue, and you are writing it and you are deploying it. Okay, this part is clear. Now,
Mm-hmm.
now this part is clear. You are in the hub. You are saying which Dynatrace is supporting this. You have developed.
Okay. Okay.
Means you have developed for your own application use case.
Got.
Your development team, you cannot develop. Okay,
Mm.
you
Got
have
it.
to sit with your application team. If you can develop, then definitely you would be a you need developer knowledge. Okay, you can
Yeah.
write a
Got
Java code, you can write Python code, lot of things. Okay, then you,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to give a this document, guide them, boss. This is the way you need to develop a plugin. Okay, and then you
Okay.
give the documentation, and then they used to develop. Okay,
Yeah.
then whichever the thing you can see hub, which is available for globally. This extension is
Okay.
developed for your use case, not so you
Mm.
can use it yours, not mine. Mine environment, I cannot use the same plugin. Maybe my application works in different way. So this
Right. No, I got.
each organization you can install it. For each organization, it will be available. Whenever you take a
Okay.
SaaS try, so here you can see how many 636. This is new.
Mm.
Even I'm going to my Dynatrace. How many you can see here? I'll go to my hub, 636 only. See,
Okay.
631. Four got added. Something. Okay.
Got.
So almost same. Okay. But that is your complete your own use case. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So how these are connected